On September 22nd at ACMI, there will be a special screening of Bill Mousoulis's film, My My Darling
Darling
in Stirling.
in
Yes, My
Stirling.
Darling in Stirling, um, which is in South Australia, and it's a sung-through musical, which I found quite intriguing. And we've got Bill Mousoulis, who's the writer-director here with us, as well as the lead actress of My Darling in Stirling, Amelie Dunda. Welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
And Emily, you're all the way from the US doing an acting class or whatever.
Yeah, I'm currently going to drama school. It's only the second week, but it's a lot of fun, but very intense.
Ah, okay. Very good. All right. So, Bill, My Darling in Stirling, tell me about the origin of this film and why you decided to make it as a sung-through musical.
Oh, well, I always like to experiment a bit when I do things, and having a little bit of an interest in musicals. I knew that one day I wanted to make a musical of my own with, a pre-recorded soundtrack and actors miming to the songs, and yeah, I've always been enamored with certain, French musicals, and because they always do things a bit more artistically there. And so, yeah, the one main film that inspired me was The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, by Jacques Demy from 1964, which a lot of people would know. It's quite a famous film. It's also a very well-known film for, in fact, ushering in or creating the modern musical, or as Adrian Martin likes to call it, the mutant musical, where you do something a bit unusual. It's not, your normal song and dance routines. It's something different. And Demi actually situates his story in the everyday world. And I do a similar thing with my film. And
Yes.
and yes, in his film, it's music and singing all the way throughout. And it's the same with my film, set in Adelaide. Yeah.
Yes. Although, of course, you didn't have Michel Legrand to work with.
No, I didn't, but I found a whole bunch of fantastic composers online. So now this is low budget filmmaking. When you haven't got any money and you want to make a musical, you get inventive. So I got, the music online, and some people will scoff at it, royalty-free music, how boring and how daggy. But the quality of the music online is really fantastic. And so I found a bunch of instrumental tracks, and then basically, got eight singers into my place and recorded their voices, their vocals, eight singers for eight different characters. And a music soundtrack was created, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it certainly is. Tell me about your process in the writing, because it's fine that you found music, but you have to get the words right and to tell a story in a narrative sort of way with music accompaniment, of course, and songs. So, how did that work for you?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm very familiar with music, and music is my second love in the arts. After the cinema, and so you have to have a kind of sense of music and rhythm and phrasing. And well, when you present it with the instrumental tracks, you have to figure out, what the melody would be, how the phrasing would go, over that music. The music dictates a lot of that itself anyway, with its own rhythms and spaces. And, because my film's set in the everyday world as well, which is like a specialty of mine, the boring everyday world that some people, not a lot, some people criticize my work for. So the key there was to create lyrics that were both, everyday, just, everyday things that you might say to your parents or your friends, and together with, some more poetic kind of lines, and also with a bit of rhyming as well. And for me personally, it was great fun, like creating this soundtrack, out of thin air practically. And what can I say? The music is a whole different lot of musical genres.
Yeah.
There's jazz, there's electro pop, there's a bit of kind of indie rock, kind of approaching punk, kind of guitars going on, and a bit of classical music and all that. So it was just great fun to do. As it was great fun, I think, for the actors to discover the music. I know Amelie rehearsed a hell of a lot to try and learn all the words and the lines, and yeah, she was terrific on the set. She really nailed all of it.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about casting and finding Amelie. Although
Yeah.
Amelie, I suppose you didn't have to actually sing; you just had to know the lyrics or know the words so that you could present those. So let's talk about finding the right actors for My Darling in Stirling.
Well, there's always like a lot of actors out there, even with a no budget film, where you can't promise them money, up front. It's they're contracted and all that kind of thing, but it's unsure if they'll ever see any kind of money, even just a basic fee. And there's always people keen. So, I think I just advertised on Facebook through an Adelaide actors kind of page, and yeah, and I found Amelie and all the other actors through there. And uh, what can I say? There's gold out there. Not everyone has a casting agent and appears on Home and Away or whatever. In fact, I avoid all those kind of people if I can. Yeah.
So, Emily, tell me about your experience in being in this somewhat unusual film, I suppose, one that you would not have normally expected.
Look, it was definitely a different experience to what I've kind of done in the past, but it was definitely a lot of fun and honestly, probably my most favorite project I have done. It was just so different and like, yeah, again, very unique. And it's like learning those lines, it was in a way quite simple because it was like, oh yeah, I'm just learning lyrics to a song. But then it was like, oh, I actually have to get the lyrics, spot on. I can't change it if I'm saying the word if I'm saying the cat sat on the mat, I have to say the cat sat on the mat, not anything slightly different. But yeah, it was a really good cast to work with. Bill was great with direction and everything. It was honestly, it was just all fun. It wasn't even like a job, it was just fun.
Yes. And Bill, how did it work? Did you record all the songs first with the various singers who
Yes.
because most of the actors didn't do their own singing, and then there was lip syncing, or how did the process work?
Yes, it was all pre-recorded. A couple of the singers I thought could possibly play those roles as well that they sung, and they did end up playing those roles.
Ah,
And I could have changed things around after I had the actors as well in place, because two or three of the actors also are singers, can sing. So I could have put their voices in like afterwards. But then I thought that would be betraying the work that the singers put in initially to create the soundtrack. So I stuck with all the singers I had, and yeah, then it was just a matter of lip syncing or miming. And so one good thing is that with this film, I didn't need a sound recordist with a microphone on a boom. I didn't have to worry about the sound. All I had to do was, play the recorded music out loud, just like on a little speaker that I had, and the actors would listen to it and mime along with the lyrics.
and how did the camera work go along with all of this? Because there were lots of scenes where Emily and fellow actors are walking around the streets of Stirling, which looked really inviting, I must say. It's a nice spot. What was the cinematography process like?
The cinematography was basically to make the film flow a bit visually. So, Jacques Demy, specialized in that kind of, tracking shots. And flowing kind of lyrical cinema, and I wanted something a little bit similar. But basically, the cinematographer Werner Luck, he just had like a small camera, like a DSLR, and he had a gimbal. So you just basically place the camera up on the gimbal, which is like a little rod, and it's very fluid and smooth, so you can follow the actors around here, there, and everywhere. And because my style is also realist, I really love the streets, the actual locations, and so you get a real sense of those of the town of Stirling, and also Adelaide suburbs and city when we see those locations as well. So a lot of it is, shooting in public. So you've got to be really quick with it as well.
Mm.
The old guerrilla style filmmaking. And yeah, we had some interesting moments on buses and a few other places where we met various characters. One bus driver told us when we finished, never do that again. And another bus driver told us when we were finished, do you want to do a second take? So you never know what you're going to get. So it was good fun, and we actually managed to do the shooting when COVID was still around. This is in around April to June of 2022, a couple of
Ah.
years back. So, but we managed to do it all. Yeah.
And Emily, tell me your experience with the camera following you around and your fellow actors, and I suppose waiting for the singing bus driver as well. But
Look, honestly, I really enjoyed it. Werner, he was great. He just did the work. He followed me. Like we all just kind of clicked. Yeah, I did enjoy the camera on me, I must admit. Um, I think the most interesting part was seeing how the public were reacting
Mm.
to like me being filmed, like whether they would look or not. It was very interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Can imagine it would be, and you've used some really nice locations. I gather, as you said, it's guerrilla filmmaking. You didn't have to apply for permissions here, there, and everywhere.
I don't think we got any permissions, but we had insurance in place, and we knew that if we approached the councils, it would be okay. Although in the city, I don't know, along North Terrace,
Mm.
I guess you might not know it, Peter, but where the main street in the city where the
Yes,
Adelaide University is, and
I do.
I'm sure they'd probably have to call police in, and then my budget would double. But my overall budget would double just by having a few scenes with police involved or whatever. But
Yes, even if they're singing.
well, yeah, I suppose I could put them in, and yeah, I don't know.
This is all part of the deleted scenes, the bus driver, the police, the council people. They can all be
Yeah.
singing. Anyway, okay. Now, how organic was your filming and your screenplay? Because were there any changes that you made along the way as you were filming?
No, there weren't, and that's the thing. When you've got a set number of songs, I really couldn't even knock out one or two of the songs if I wanted to, because they carry the narrative and they carry,
Mm.
expositional information. In each song, there's like a little line that indicates something that's happened or something that's happening now. The film doesn't actually spell out a lot of things, so it keeps the audience guessing. Like when we see Amelie's aunt, and we see that she's sad, and we don't know, what's caused this melancholia, and it's revealed just a little bit of time, like further on. And same with Amelie's mother in the film,
Mm.
her particular situation. But yeah, when you've got songs pre-recorded and every one of them has to be acted out, yeah, I was like fingers crossed every time we were shooting. And towards the end, once we'd done the very last scene, I was very relieved. And because otherwise, yeah, it would be very difficult to rescue the film in a way. So, but I guess I would have shot the scene at some point. But it did
Yes.
still drag on for about 3 or 4 months, the shooting.
Ah, I see. How interesting. Emily, how did you respond when you first saw yourself singing, in inverted commas, on the big screen?
It was really weird because I was like, it's me, but it's not my voice. Like it did not sound like
Yeah.
me at all. But it was also kind of nice seeing a version of me that could sing. Um, Look, I usually can't watch myself on film, but for some reason it was quite easy to watch this. And I think part of it was just I know all the hard work that we've been through, like out of the 3, 4 months that we were filming, and also it was not my voice. So yeah. But it was a very surreal experience, just like seeing my face on the big screen. Like that had
Yeah.
never happened
Yeah.
before. All of a sudden it was just there.
Is that
Yeah.
is Bill's film what got you into acting school in the US?
Um
No, no,
Not
no, no,
quite. I
no,
did
no.
ask Bill to write like a letter for
Oh,
me, which did
Ah,
yeah,
help with my
yeah,
application.
yeah.
Um, but otherwise I didn't really need to speak too much about the film. They got my resume, so they would have seen it on there. But otherwise, yeah, during the
Mm.
whole application process, they didn't really mention too much about what you've done in the past. So,
ah.
but
Mm.
the whole getting to know you thing over the past few weeks, like, yeah, I have brought it up. And like, even my peers have been like, oh my God, you were in a film? Even while moving in, my roommate's family and friends, like, we had been talking about, each other's experiences. And I was like, oh yeah, I was in a film. They're like, oh my God, where can we watch it? So hopefully the next location, like the next screening location can be in LA and my people here can watch it.
Ah.
You
Emily, can
never
I ask
know.
what the acting school is?
Yes, so it is called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Ah, okay. Very good. And do they have a particular perspective on how actors should operate?
Honestly, what they tend to do here, so let's just say, yeah, you put something out there, and then what they will do, they will push you to do something even further. So they'll make you do an exercise that will bring out all these emotions and they will just get you to do it. They don't want you getting inside your head. They want you to just be your authentic self. And everyone is very supportive as well, which is really good. And
Uh-huh.
like everyone is there to like help you. All the teachers want you to succeed. Even if it's hard, they're like, you don't need to enjoy this class. You just have to try and do well. And we will do everything in our power for you to accomplish that, which is
Uh-huh.
really good.
That's very good. How long is the course?
So, um, overall, it's 2 years, but you have to be invited back for the second year. So
Ah,
I'm praying that I can
Mm.
get invited back. And then if I am, then I'll move up to New York.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll all work out. Great experience.
Yeah.
Um, Bill, I must ask you, I mean, I'm well used to Hitchcock appearing in his own films. And of course, you are in the film, My
Yeah.
Darling in Stirling.
Yeah.
But I was hoping to see an umbrella somewhere.
Ah, that's interesting you bring that up because one of the cafes we used, in fact, that main one in Stirling called Red Cacao, where the waiter works, the waiter that Amelie, the girl's character falls in love with.
Yeah.
That's normally got these umbrellas, just for shade, in its courtyard where the
Ah,
seats are. When I was planning the film, I was thinking, yeah, I'll just get a drone and I'll put it up there and film, this overhead shot of all these umbrellas in the. But yeah, what can I say? Even though it was, autumn and it was actually raining, drizzling a bit at times, it never crossed my mind to have the characters walking along with an umbrella over them. So it would have been a nice little reference too, I guess. But um, so be it. Yeah.
yeah, so be it. That's fine. The whole homage sort of situation. Now, I must ask you, when you had your first screening of the film, which
Mm.
goes back a little while now, I assume, um, what sort of responses and reactions were you getting? You mentioned Adrian's response, which is very positive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first screening was at the Adelaide Film Festival
Ah,
in October of last year. So it was almost 12 months back now. And yeah, some good critical reviews appeared at the time. in Senses of Cinema, Frankie Canardis and Adrian Martin, and there were a couple of other reviews published. Yep, a couple of others as well. But it's been a really interesting response from the audience. A lot of the audience are actually quite engaged and even entranced by the film, and others have a pushback against it, where there's too much music, so they can't handle it, or they can't handle the idea of music and singing coming out of ordinary characters' mouths, and I had a follow-up screening in Adelaide, which a couple of these screenings in Adelaide have almost gone to a very wild level, because there's a group of people in Adelaide who believe it's like a cult film, and who actually think it's not that great, but they're really entertained by it. And so it's and there's a couple of people who want to create sing-along screenings, which I balk at. But so it's got an interesting variety of responses so far. Yeah.
Wow, sounds like it's a Rocky Horror Picture Show in Australia or something
In
like
suburbia.
that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I am surprised that we don't do much in terms of musicals at all in Australia. We seem to be
Mm.
averse to it. And yet, I mean, Hollywood was founded from the end of silent cinema on musicals, on sung through sort of films, or at least of films with songs in them, and that seemed to be a natural progression. And yet in Australia, we seem to be a bit anathema to it. I find that an interesting thing, and maybe this will set off a trend.
Well, maybe, but what I do is always kind of alternative and seen as an alternative thing. Australia is obsessed with like thrillers and horrors. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
I love it when I see a really successful musical in Australia, like the film Brand New Day
Oh, yes.
from about 20 years back now. And yeah, look, even in Hollywood and elsewhere, it's considered like a classic, but now outdated genre. But let's not forget there were things like La La Land recently,
Of course.
and then in France, back to France, you have Leo Carax with his film. I've forgotten the name of it now. It starts with an A, and Annette. Annette, is that it?
Oh, Annette, yes, yes,
Annette.
I know
Yeah,
that.
his musical,
Yes.
which is an ultra kind of modern and alternative musical that has bizarre things, and actually has a couple of scenes in it that are similar to my film, sincere proclamations of love and
Yes.
between the couple and things like that. So the musical is still around, but yeah,
Hmm.
I guess it's just seen as old-fashioned, and people, have now gone into Marvel and all this kind of cinema that's completely different to this. Mm.
Yes. Singing superheroes would be a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
and I also remember Lars von Trier's film with Björk,
Oh
I think
yeah,
it was.
Dancing in the Dark.
That's
Yeah,
it,
brilliant.
yes. What an
Yeah, yeah,
incredible I almost called it an anti-musical.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever someone says a film is like anti-musical or anti-cinema, it's the highest compliment, I believe. When a critic in Sydney about 20 years ago saw one of my films, and he leaned, I was sitting next to him, and he leaned over to me and he said, "Bill, this is anti-cinema. This is not cinema." And I took it as a huge compliment.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, yes, you can take that a number of ways, but how interesting. Emily, what about you? Would you like to continue acting in musicals, or is your acting career going to be quite diverse?
Honestly, I will take what I can get. I do love stage, I love film, I love musicals, so yeah, I just have to improve my singing, but that's why I'm doing vocal production classes here.
Ah,
Um, Yeah, no, I would love to do something like this again. I think it was just an amazing experience, and it would be great if the style could like take off again, because it would just be such a change in cinema.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the world needs it. The world needs a bit of joy, and also my film has, like, a real kind of sense of innocence to it, and I
Mm,
I personally believe, hey, this is the pushback to the nastiness and vulgarity of the world currently, the violence and the tensions kind of everywhere. So yeah, it would be great if more joy could come back to the cinema, like more play. Cinema doesn't play too much these days.
mm,
It especially in Australia, it just goes through those thriller and horror genres, and
yeah.
just there might be an occasional tweak, but it doesn't really play with the genres.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. We could be much more um, uh, much cleverer in terms of our approach to different films and so on.
Mm.
So yeah, no, that's terrific. All right, well, let's hope that Bill, your film sparks off a bit of experimentation, investigation, and other options.
Well, there are lots of younger filmmakers around, like even in Adelaide where I live, but also in Melbourne, and they're doing some really interesting things, different things, and so I have hope. These Gen Zers, actually have a bit of hope in them, because it's like another generation that's now come through that is just interested in the alternative and doing things a bit more differently and authentically.
Yes. And it's nice to see South Australia, Adelaide, Stirling featuring in the film. It's not always Melbourne and
Mm.
Sydney, and I think that in itself shows that we have so many great locations and opportunities in Australia.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, My Darling in Stirling is screening on at ACMI on the 22nd of September, and you'll be there, Bill, for the
Yep,
screening.
I'll be there. There'll be a Q&A moderated by Philippa Hawker. And so that's a Sunday. So it's a nice Sunday afternoon seeing the musical matinee at the Flicks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very nice. And Emily, you'll be in the middle of a class, I'm sure.
Yeah, most probably, or doing homework, whichever comes first.
Fair enough too.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great talking to you both. And Bill, are you working on another film at the moment?
Slowly, I've got some, thoughts in my head, very embryonic, and I'm not revealing anything to anyone. And I just
Right.
want to, just focus on this film and getting more screenings for it at the moment. And
Yep.
so I've got a screening coming up in Sydney, and I'm
Ah.
looking for a couple of other screenings as well. So yeah, just eventually there will be another film. I suppose I've still got another 15 years life in me, maybe. Let's see.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. And now for my usual last question. Emily, have you seen any films recently that impressed you?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I saw the movie. Oh, what was it called? It's like a new like thriller horror film. I think it's called Trapped or Trap.
Oh,
It's
Trap,
about
yeah.
the
M. Night Shyamalan.
pardon?
M. Night
That's
Shyamalan, the director.
I
the director's name. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know if that was the I didn't look at who directed it, which is probably really bad of me.
that's right.
But
It was
yeah,
set at a
that one,
concert.
yes, that one.
Yes.
I loved the concept for it. I think that one was really creative. Like the whole, yeah, trying to capture this killer in a concert and needing to trap them there, even though there's so many people and it literally could be any one of these people. And just, yeah, I thought that was a really good concept.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good recommendation, Trap. And Bill, what about you?
I don't watch many films. I was at MIF, Melbourne International
Yep.
Film Festival, and And yeah, the film by Victor Erice called Close Your Eyes was the one that really stood out for me. It's a real kind of big masterpiece. I don't know how old he is. He's the director of Spirit of the Beehive from the 70s, which was quite well known. And he's only made 4 features in all of his career, but I think he must be about 80 or so now. And yeah, just that it's cinema on an epic scale, an epic emotional scale as well. And yeah, just great to see a bit of, not that this is slow cinema, this film, but great to see a kind of slow cinema aesthetic actually happening in the world. Again, I think as a counter to Hollywood. So these kind of backlashes or pushbacks against Hollywood are kind of interesting. And yeah, so that's the one film I've seen recently that I liked. Yeah.
Ah, good. I look forward to catching up with it. I missed it at MIF. Okay, excellent. All right. Look, I wish you well with My Darling in Stirling at ACMI on September 22nd, with who's been to the writer-director of this sung-through musical, Bill Mousoulis, and to the lead actress, Amelie Dunda. And wish you well with your acting course in the US. Amelie and Bill, I wish you well with the film. Great talking to you both.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Peter.
you. It was great talking to you too.
Okay, all the best. See you later.
Cool. See you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.